let's get this show on the road. So good afternoon and welcome to the first of our 2 departmental member showcases. Our second session will be held tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. That's Mountain Time. So please be sure to join us then as well. I'm Steve Coolbaugh, the Director of Membership for the MAA, and today I'll be assisted by Kristen Wu, who is our Senior Director of Communications and Development. So in addition to supporting the mission of the MAA, departmental memberships provide individual MAA memberships for 1 faculty member and up to 450 math students at the departmental member institution. The goal of our departmental membership program is to put into the hands of mathematics students the wealth of resources that come with membership. And thanks to our departmental members, more than 15,000 students have been welcomed in the community of colleagues and friends that is the MAA this year. So pleased and thankful to be able to introduce our wonderful presenters today. Before I do, I wanted to ask that if you have questions for our speakers, please put them in the chat, as we'll have a 15-minute session at the end for Q&A. And also keep an eye on the chat for more info about how to contact our speakers for even more information. Okay, now with that out of the way, let's get started with Augsburg University. Augsburg is a private university located in Minneapolis, Minnesota, with undergraduate enrollment of approximately 3,000. And here to kick off our departmental showcase from Augsburg University are Suzanne Darrah, Chair of the Department of Mathematics, Statistics, and Computer Science, and Professor John Zobitz. Okay, so Suzanne.
Well, greetings, everyone. I'm so happy to see you this afternoon here at Math Fest, one of my favorite conferences of the year. I'm here with my colleague, Professor John Zobitz, and we're 2 of the math professors at Augsburg University in Minneapolis. Now, I like to describe Augsburg as a small college in the big city. And over the next several slides, I'll explain why. In the photos below, you can see Minneapolis skyline, and it has everything a big city has to offer. Wonderful music and theater scene, great parks and lakes and recreation, big sports teams, and lots of Fortune 500 companies. And we'll return to that later in the talk. On the right, you see a snapshot of the Hagefors Center for Science, Business, and Religion, one of the newest buildings on campus and stunning place to hang out and work. Professor Zobitz and I teach and have offices in this building. Now, one of the things you might be able to see in this picture is some students sitting at a table talking to one another. You know, in high school, you go from class to class to class to class, and you really have to wait till school is done to talk with your friends. It's really different in college. You might have a class that just meets Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or maybe just Tuesday, Thursday. You might have a few classes in a row and then a couple hours break before your next class. What most of our students at Augsburg do is they hang out in some of these study areas like this atrium, where we also have some dedicated math study areas near the faculty offices. And it's a great place to catch up with friends and, of course, do your homework, study for tests, and get help if you need it. So I just wanted to show you that. And when you're touring campuses, when the time comes, look for these kind of informal gathering space that you could hang out in as a student. Now, students, I know you're here because you're really good at mathematics. I was in math competitions in high school. I never did very well, but I loved it. And some of my best friends are from those circles. Now, in college, there's lots of things you can study if you're good at mathematics. Of course, one of them is mathematics, but there's also statistics, computer science, and a new field called data science. Beyond those fields, there's economics, finance, well, of course, the sciences, and so much more. Now, Augsburg is a small university, so one thing we have is a lot of interdisciplinary departments. So math, stats, and computer science are all one program. And what that means for you as a student is you don't need to show up day one knowing which of these is your favorite. You can take classes in all of these different areas, see what you like best, and pick one of them to be what's called your major, maybe even two of them. We also have a business school, which not all small colleges have, and so there's opportunities to also take classes there.
So let me talk about some of the interesting classes you could take while you're a student at Augsburg. One of them is called Modeling and Differential Equations in the Biological and Natural Sciences. Long course title, but we do a lot of interesting things. In this course, we take differential equation models, apply them to data sets. This is an example of a student project that had been worked over 2 sort of courses where students looked at models for growth of mayflies and tried to compare them to data from ecological studies. The students worked in teams together and then shared out their results with the entire class. What's really fascinating about this course is that it's not just mathematics students that take it, but students in chemistry, biology, even business and economics, and it brings everybody together in the quantitative study of mathematics. The link down below, we'll post these later on, is a link to the actual paper that got published, which was co-authored by the students in this course. Another class is Data Visualization and Statistical Computing. And in this class, students work with the statistical software program R and data sets that come from their own discipline, from the web, open source, to kind of build interesting and innovative data graphics. This first one is looking at sort of the distribution of those bicycle rideshare programs during the summer season in Minneapolis. And so this student wanted to know, where are people using the bicycles and how often? And so this was an animated GIF sort of over time. The next kind of example, which is kind of interesting too, is looking at how zebra mussels, which is an invasive species, infiltrated waterways in the US. And so this student built out a map showing the spread of these zebra mussels over time as they kind of move from the east into the west. Now, one thing that I want to point out with these classes is that both of these are open to you like almost right away, in terms of you take some calculus or you take a course in introductory statistics for the data visualization, and you can take it. So this is accessible to you early on in your academic career.
One of the things about Augsburg that I'm really proud of is that we have a very collaborative environment. So when you come to Augsburg and you sit in a class, sure, sometimes you'll hear me or Professor Zobitz up at the board lecturing about something, but most of the time in class, you'll be up at the board or sitting at desks with others, working on challenging problems. Now, if you're competing in AMC, I bet you like working on challenging problems, but instead of competing, here you can work with people together. So for me, math was always more fun when I could figure it out. Now, it's nice to have the professor nearby for help so I don't get stuck too long. But most of the time in class, we do these sort of things. And outside of class, our students work together as well. These are pictures from some of our classes, from calculus and from a discrete math class of students collaborating. Now, at a small school like Augsburg, our class sizes are never very big. Calculus gets up to about 28 students, kind of max, and Python's about the same. But by the advanced levels, there's maybe 20 or 15 or 12 students in a class. That means the professors get to know you really well, and you get to know each other really well. There's a lot going on besides classes in mathematics. So for example, at Augsburg, students compete in contests, versions of math contests like what you're doing right now. We have a math club and also a CS club, and they do things like serve pie to everybody on campus on Pi Day. We bring students to conferences. We have a student here presenting at Math Fest, for example. We bring invited speakers to Augsburg, people from some of those Fortune 500 companies I talk about, people from graduate programs, to help our students figure out what's next. A lot of our students do something called an internship, which is a course where you're not in class at all. It takes place at a company or maybe a government agency or someplace nearby. You might literally get out your bus pass and hop on the bus or the light rail to get there for maybe 10 hours a week or a couple months in the summer. It's a paid position, and it gives students a chance to learn what is it like to work in this field or that. Many of our students do at least one internship, and for some of them, that's how they get a job after college. Other students do research projects with us, or sometimes both. That could be working on a faculty research project, like one of the ones that John showed you, which actually resulted in a published research paper with a lot of students and a couple faculty. Or it might be something that you're interested in, and one of us might help you explore something that you're interested in. Those are also paid positions at Augsburg. One thing I want you to know about our being a small college, and that's a picture there of the faculty in mathematics, statistics, and computer science. We all know each other really well and work together. And our number one job is teaching. Our number one job is making sure that our students learn a lot, find their way through college and after. So yes, we do some really cool research and we do other things, but the main thing we think about morning, noon, and night is how to teach and what kinds of cool things to have in our courses. Every student at a small school like Augsburg gets a kind of faculty mentor. I mentor 20 students, so I know them really well. Every student also gets an academic advisor, and that team is there from the beginning to the end of your college career to help you figure out what's next, figure out how to do some of these things that happen outside of the classroom, and also to support you if things aren't working exactly as planned. Augsburg has a nationally recognized program for students with disabilities. And so if you've had accommodations in learning in high school, a place like Augsburg, it's super easy to have those continues. We really get that you can be very bright and also have special needs. When you first look at private universities like Augsburg, you may experience a little sticker shock at how much it costs. I want to assure you that we have lots of scholarships, both the National Science Foundation and lots of donors, particularly alums before from earlier, have given money to help make college affordable for everyone. So by all means apply, even if you're not sure how that's going to work in terms of the money. And before you have to make a decision about acceptance, we'll let you know how much we might be able to give you in scholarships to offset some of that cost. For some students, it's even less than half of the sticker price. So please don't let that deter you if a small college sounds like it's right for you.
So let's talk a little bit about kind of what our graduates do in mathematics. And what's really interesting is they take their experiences in coursework and outside of the classroom and leverage them into really meaningful careers. Whether you're like Samantha or Patrick or Emmanuel or Keen, who work as analysts in the financial services industry, healthcare industry, or just for many companies that you may recognize. Sometimes you can be like Tyler to take your career and build a career in sports and data science and analytics, kind of combining those things. Or you can be like Chandra, who is a statistician and works as consumer insights and analytics for Google, or like Scott as an engineer at Boeing. The most important thing is that these students leverage their experiences into a career to make a living and make a life. And for many of these students, in the top row, Target, Best Buy, 3M, Optum, they're all based inside the Twin Cities. And so you can have an internship, start out there as an internship while a student, and then build a career from there. And
thank you, John.
Yep, and I will be posting some links for further information in the chat. I couldn't do it as we were kind of scrolling along because I was sharing my screen.
So I just wanted to let you know that John, there's a last screen here.
Oh, yes. Okay.
This last screen here, which we're including for folks who might be watching the video, includes the links, and I've posted them in the chat except for the last one.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to get to know more about us or have questions about what a school like this is like, We're including our emails, and I'll post that last link in the chat now. We're happy to be here during question answer or to talk to you via email. Thank you so much. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Okay, so hopefully I'm back and you can hear me. Okay, great. Really want to thank Sue and John for participating and presenting. And we actually have about 3 minutes if anybody has any questions for them specifically. Please throw them into the chat and Kristen will let us know.
We do also have some prepared questions at the end if we don't have any at this moment.
All right. Well, I don't see any popping up. So I think what we'll do is go to part 2. So next up in our lineup is West Virginia University, which is a public land grant research university located in Morgantown, West Virginia, with undergraduate enrollment of approximately 20,500-ish. And I am pleased to welcome 2 mountaineers, Professor Marjorie Darrah and Assistant Professor Ella Chelitbash.
Thank you very much, Steve. And it's great to be here with you all. This was also one of my favorite conferences in the year. And Margie and I will try our best to introduce West Virginia University Department of Mathematics to you. So, yes, we're in West Virginia University. Where is West Virginia University? It is located in Morgantown, West Virginia. And where is Morgantown? Morgantown is just 70 miles south of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we are also close to Washington, D.C., Cleveland, and New York City. New York is 5 hours away, right, Margie? 5 hours, and D.C. is 3 hours away from us. In West Virginia University, we have a 20-to-1 student to faculty ratio compared to big R1 university. So this is a very good ratio, and our students come from all 50 states in the in the States. And in addition to that, we have students and professors from 108 countries, and 100 and more languages are spoken on our campus. Some of the cool things in our campus include the first institute, the world's first institute devoted to the study of human memory. And also biometrics research is very popular on Morgantown campus. And it's because the FBI named WVU its national leader in the States. And I think we are still the only school that offers bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees in forensic science. And also we have the nation's largest forensic science and crime scene training complex. And these photos are taken from these crime scene houses on our campus. Undergraduate research is very important at WVU, and you don't need to wait till your senior or junior year to start your research. You can start your research as a freshman, and in order to do that, WVU created wonderful programs, including the RAP program. What is a RAP program standing for? It is the Research Apprenticeship Program, which is a 2-semester program that allows students with limited or no research experience to use federal work-study funds or gain course credit for undergraduate research apprenticeships with WVU research faculty. SURE program is a summer undergraduate research experience for students interested in graduate school and research creative work within their discipline or a related discipline. If you are selected for this program, you have to complete your research at West Virginia University for 8 weeks during the summer under the direction of a WVU faculty. And most importantly, you will get a stipend for 8 weeks. And how much was the stipend?
$4,000 stipend.
So we offer $4,000 stipend for the SURE program. And usually the program starts in June and ends at the end of July. So that's something to consider. And also we have this MURR, which stands for the Mountaineer Undergraduate Research Review. It is a student-led undergraduate research journal. So if you finish your research under the SURE program or outside or in RAP, and if you want to get it published, you can do this at the MURR journal. And also we have undergraduate research symposia for a long time, I guess. I don't remember, but this summer, I think it was, this summer one was the 13th one. And we have also the fall one started recently. And yeah, so that's a very good thing. You can present your poster, and then there are discussion panels, everything on campus going on. And also, before Elon Musk's considered the personal rapid transit, there was personal rapid transit on WVU. So we started this before the loop was on the game, I think they were thinking. So since 1975, this transportation system is used on campus to go to engineering campus, medical campus, because our campuses are located in different spots in the city. But with this system, it is very easy and very safe to navigate on campus. And also, before the semester starts, of course, that didn't happen last year because of COVID, but usually in the beginning of every semester, there's this PRT CRAM event taken by the students. And so the record was, I think in 2000, how many students at most, do you remember? It was 97 students were in the small bus, and they usually it is supposed to be 8, but of course this wasn't running, it was just sitting there for them to have fun. Let's see. We can say that we are one of the safest campuses in the US according to the National Council for Safety and Security. And weather in Morgantown, it's usually warm and hot over the summer, and in the winters a bit cold, not as bad as some other places I lived in, and mostly cloudy. And usually my favorite seasons here are the spring and the fall, I would say. It's perfect. And you can get your student card, Mountaineer card, and attach a Mountie Bounty plan. This is a special dining plan for students, and then you can use your card on and off campus to get food. And our downtown is a very safe place, and it has a lot of restaurants that you can enjoy with your card for food. And I'm turning the mic to Margie.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about our math department specifically. We have 3 undergraduate degrees in the math. We're actually now, the department has become the school for mathematics and data sciences. We've added the data science degree starting this fall. So we have a bachelor's of science in math, a bachelor of arts in math, and a data science degree. We have about 120 undergraduate math majors. This will be our first year of offering the data science degree. So our data science program is growing. We have students from all over the nation, and most of our majors come in starting in Calc 1, Calc 2, or multivariate calculus. The BS has several areas of emphasis. So as you heard from the last speaker, mathematics, there's a lot of things you can do with a mathematics degree. And so we decided to create these areas of emphasis several years back so that you can take courses to specialize in certain areas. We have actuarial science area of emphasis. We have computational math. We have mathematics biology, mathematics education, physical and applied mathematics, and we also have a track in pure mathematics. These are optional, and you can pick and choose the ones you like, or you can choose not to have an area of emphasis. We also have this new data science program, and if you're not familiar with that, what it does is it combines courses from mathematics, statistics, computer science, and other disciplines. And if you're a data science major, you will then be able to choose another discipline that you're interested in, maybe criminology, political science, it could be physics, biology, and that's where the data will come from that you will learn to analyze. You'll work with a mentor in that area as well as a mentor in data science. I want to talk just a minute about my research. I work in applied mathematics, and this is a project that I was working on with a SURE student, undergraduate student this summer. My main area is algorithm development, mostly biologically inspired algorithms like genetic algorithms or neural networks. We worked on algorithm development this summer for LIDAR data. So LIDAR is light detection and ranging. And so you see these two vehicles here. One is a UAV, it's a hexcopter, and the other is an underwater vehicle. And so they carry a sensor, a LIDAR sensor, and it collects 3D data. And so we use our mathematics and algorithms to analyze this 3D data to look for features within the 3D data. This is a technology that is used in these self-driving cars. And so I was working with undergraduates, and several of the students who've worked with me in the past have been undergraduates and graduate students who've gone on to get jobs at companies that I consult for. Oops, sorry. Okay, Ella's going to talk a little bit about some of the other research going on in our department and talk a little bit about what she does.
Well, we have a couple areas listed in our department, including algebra, applied mathematics, discrete math, graph theory, combinatorics mostly. And we have ordinary and partial differential equations, mathematics education, and set theory. And I know that you might not know about what these each meant. For example, algebra, some parts of differential equations, and set theory, discrete math, those are considered as pure mathematics. And my research area is in algebra, and pure mathematics is inspired by intellectual curiosity, by the other beauty of the problem rather than by trying to solve real world problem directly. So this is what a pure mathematician does and what I am doing. By this, I don't mean that pure math is never getting applied. For example, the study of prime numbers in the past 2,000 years has allowed us to solve a very modern problem of how we keep things safe online or communicate online with sensitive info like bank details, wiring money, etc. So we show some of these applications in our algebra courses, and certainly, I guess the Euclid didn't have this application in mind when he proved that there are infinitely many prime numbers. Well, I think that's we don't have time, so I don't have to say much. But if you start taking courses, you will learn about those things later. And we have tons of ways to get involved in the math department. So we have mathematics club, math club, actuarial science club. We have a competition every year, right? Integration Bee, where students solve a bunch of integral questions on board, and then they compete on each other with time. And the winner gets a big prize, like usually an iPad or a computer, things like that. It's a fun thing. And yeah, there are other ways, so you can get involved in our department. And these are some of the upper level graduate math courses we offer at WVU. And our undergraduate courses usually consist of 5 to 15 students, right, Margie? Yeah. So, hope to see you in Morgantown. Thank you.
I have a question for you. Do the the staff use the personal rapid transit system?
Yes.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah, they do.
We do too.
That's fun. Is it really fun?
No, it's like having a leisure park on campus.
Makes me think of the monorail at Disney World.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looks like. I used to have a client that was in Morgantown, and I loved going out there. It's so cool, right along the river, and the monorail. It's pretty neat.
And then the normal capacity is 8 students. So in a car, the picture she showed was the competition that they hold to try to get as many.
Yeah, they put one of the trucks in front of the union, and then they do those things. But this was before COVID, I guess. Yeah.
Well, Ella and Marjorie, thanks so much for that. Really loved it. Really love to hear from you. We're actually doing really well on time, so let's keep it up. Our final presentation today comes from Worcester Polytechnic Institute, a private research institute located in Worcester, Massachusetts, with undergrad enrollment approximately 4,500. Today, we're going to hear from Sarah Olson, professor and head of the Mathematical Science Department, and Professor of Practice John Abraham, and as I understand it, Leah Mitchell, who is an alumnus. So please, Sarah, it's all yours.
Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, great. So we are so excited to be here and tell you a little bit more about WPI, and we are also super excited that we were able to get Leah to join us. So I'm going to tell you a bit about WPI and our department. So just in case you don't know where WPI is, it's in Worcester, Massachusetts, which is about an hour west of Boston. It's a great city. It's kind of a very expansive city, but it's actually the second largest in New England. Worcester itself is a big kind of college town with other 11 area colleges. It's a kind of becoming more of a biotech area. NPR has called it one of these newest cities. So it's kind of it's growing. Lots of great tech companies coming in close to Boston. But in terms of other things going on at WPI, we're a tech school. We used to be known primarily as an engineering school, but we've certainly gone above and beyond that and have lots of great programs. We've been rated as kind of having the highest earning potential, winning, prizes for kind of innovation and tech education. And one of the things that we're most proud of is kind of being known for really combining teaching and learning in a good way. So having an emphasis on both. And I think I'm going to pass it to Leah to tell you a little bit about the campus and classes and everything.
Sweet. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Yeah, so the way that WPI structures, its year is a little bit different than normal schools, which I liked. It was 4 7-week terms. So you kind of go into like a sprint for 7 weeks and you do 3 classes. So you're very focused in what you're learning, which I really like to get to dive a little bit deeper. And then you get 2 e-term options where you can take some extra courses. The grading policy is kind of nice too, because it's A, B, and C, no pluses or minuses, which, it's nice when you finally just get right up to that A, you can just get that A. And then you don't fail a course, you get a no record. So we get 3 no records built into our schedules when we get there. And the idea of it is that you can go and try classes that are a little bit tougher, that are a little bit harder, that maybe scare you a little bit. And you have that safety net where it won't hurt your GPA. It won't be on your transcript if you decide to drop or if you don't do as well as you would hope. So it's a nice, way to back yourself up to take really hard courses or courses that you might be scared of. And then overall, the curriculum is really flexible. There's no set prereqs. There's only recommended prerequisites. So you can really jump around to the classes that you see would be best for you. Next slide. And then, like Sarah, Professor Olson said, it's definitely a project-based curriculum. There's 4 main projects that you do. The Great Problem Seminar is your freshman year. I personally didn't take it because it's not required, but I know a lot of my friends took it, and it helps you get into that college project mindset. So it teaches you some of those skills that you might need later on. The Humanities and Arts Practicum is the capstone to your humanities courses. You focus in on one type of humanities. The whole joke is that they know that we're STEM focused, so they want to make sure that we're doing humanities that are at least interesting to us. I focused in on music and music history. So for my practicum, I wrote a paper on the feminist movement through pop music, which was a lot of fun and really personal to myself. For the junior year project, it's our interactive qualifying project. This is more social science based. It's something to kind of pull you out of like a very technical STEM major and do something a little bit more, universal, I guess is the great word. This is when we typically go abroad as well. I went to Germany for mine, and I studied refugee integration in a small German town. So a definitely eye-opening experience for me. Learned a lot on that. I didn't really do a lot of math, which was what the project was all about. And then your senior year, you do your major qualifying project, which is your classic capstone. I did mine on advanced baseball analytics with Professor Abraham. And you can also do your MQP abroad as well. And then you can see the map. There's so many different places that you can go. And there's a lot of scholarships to get you there. And the school definitely prepares you to go abroad. So it's not as scary. And especially because you only go for 7 weeks, it's not like you're gone for like months at an end, which I personally liked because I started to miss campus. All right, and then going into the department specifically, there's about 200 undergrad students and 100 graduate students, but over 40 faculty. So that ratio there is really great, especially with about 50 students per grade. I found that you get to know who's in your classes, and I had group chats for every single one of my courses to be like, hey, I'm stuck on this. Hey, do you guys want to study together? So you definitely get that like community feel. Especially there is a student math lounge that everyone gets to hang out, and you get to be like, hey, did you guys take this course? Can you help me out? There's a lot of that in there. There's 2 majors. There's the mathematical sciences, which was what I did, and then there's the actuarial sciences, which Professor Abraham will talk about in a little bit. And then you can do a BS-MS program that a lot of students do in a bunch of different majors. And then there are teaching focus options. And from the friends that I had that did that, I know that they actually went into classrooms to do a teaching assistant job. So you kind of get that hands-on experience that way. And then a lot of students do a double major or minor. I personally did a minor in data science, but I know a lot of my friends do double majors in computer science, business. I know mechanical engineers that do a math major as well. So definitely a lot of flexibility in learning other skills as well. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience. We are the goats, so that is me with a goat, Gompy, the goat. That's not actually Gompy, but as I said, I did my MQP in advanced baseball analytics, and then I had personal research through a Claire Booth research scholarship that I got from the school. I did analyzing the effects of observation function selection and ensemble Kalman filtering for epidemic models. Really long title, but there is a lot of research opportunities for undergraduate students. I know a lot of my friends did their research, and with that, you get to come to conferences like these and present it. Actually, shot a message to one of my friends who's here to present too. I had 2 internships. I worked at Millennium Space Systems, which is a smaller company in California. After my junior and senior year, I was a data scientist on their operations research team. And then currently I work at Ultimate Chronos Group, where I'm a data scientist in more of a software engineering team. Some of the favorite classes I took were, I definitely love data analytics and statistical learning since I do data science now. I took top algorithms with Professor Olson. We got to learn like a new algorithm every single week. A master's course I took, computational inverse problems, was really cool because it tied back to what my research was, and I hadn't really learned inverse problems in my classes yet, so it was kind of nice to tie it back to that research. And then I was able to do a bunch of different independent studies, which I'm very thankful for. I worked with a couple different professors learning about neural networks and inverse problems, and then I did do one on my research so I could finish that paper before I graduated. And then some of my favorite things about WPI is, I've mentioned it, but there's a community, especially in the math department. You get to know everybody. You get to know the professors. It definitely feels like a little bit of a family in Stratton Hall. And then it's really easy to get involved overall at WPI. All my clubs are at the bottom. I was in the Student Alumni Society, on the dance team. Within the department, I was in SIAM, AWM, and Pi Mu Epsilon. So definitely was going to a lot of different talks, a lot of different events. You know, there was a lot to do, both campus-wide and within the department. And then I've mentioned it before, but the degree is super flexible. And so we get to really focus in on the things that interest you. And I mean, I did a bunch of independent studies. I was able to choose the classes that I actually wanted to take. And so I really appreciated that too.
Awesome. Thank you, Leah. So I just wanted to also give a little flavor here, mainly just with some pictures to say that, you know, we have a lot going on from kind of biological applications, fluids, you know, statistics to modeling, cryptography, association schemes, quantum computing. So lots of really, really great and interesting applications of math that you can learn about in some of our courses. And I also wanted to say what you got kind of a flavor from Leah is that, you know, we do a lot of computing. We have lots of kind of interdisciplinary approaches, kind of combining math and data science and chem-eng, combining things with bio. So lots of great kind of things going on with interdisciplinarity. We also have kind of this Center for Industrial Math and Statistics where we work with lots of different kind of companies. This summer we worked with a few banks and some kind of pharmaceutical type companies. And then just to say, our students are getting when they graduate, very competitive salaries, similar to the previous talk, lots of analysts. And I want to leave some time for John Abraham, who to tell us a little bit more about what an actuary actually is.
Okay, everyone hear me okay? Okay, so I'm in charge of the actuarial program, and as Sarah mentioned earlier, we have our own major, so it's a very important program and a very complete program. There's a lot of schools you can attend and get the foundations for actuarial work, and that's fantastic if you want to, you know, have the chance to be an actuary or do something else. But if you are a student out there who knows that you want to be an actuary, which would be, it's more common than you think for high school students to know that. I always wonder where they got this dream, but we talk to them all the time. Attending a school that's got an actuarial program can be really handy. I wanted to spend a little time talking about what actuaries do, what the opportunities are, what it's like to be an actuary. Before I came to WPI, I worked as an actuary for 25 years. So my background is much more on that practical applied side. So I've got some slides to talk about the actuarial profession. Actuaries manage risk, okay? So that's the slogan of the Society of Actuaries is risk is opportunity. That's their big slogan that sort of tries to capture everything that we do. But when people ask me at a party or something, you know, what do actuaries do? I'll typically say, well, we're the mathematicians behind insurance companies. You know, if you want to buy a product from an insurance company, it's not like buying a manufactured good where if you're pricing out say automobile tire or something, well, what's the price of rubber? What's the manufacturing price? What's the storage? What's the sales commission? Whatever you have to do to sell that thing, those are all very knowable. And once you've sold something, you can measure your profit. In the insurance world, you're selling a promise to make some future payment contingent on unknown events. And it takes a long time to figure out that cost. And it takes a long time to figure out your profit, or in some cases, unfortunately, your loss. And what actuaries try to do is use math to lay out the projections of what's going to happen, use statistics and math and probability, and come up with a way to approach instances where people need to be insured, and come up with the appropriate price that's fair, that doesn't result in the insurance company going under. I'm ready to move to the next one. So risk, what does risk have to do with it? Risk is the chance that something undesirable will happen. Okay. And this is what I was saying about what actuaries would do, is try to measure the likelihoods of those uncertain, unknown, and undesirable events and put a price to it. So let's jump here. If we were in a classroom physically, I'd hand out some papers here. I'm just going to walk through, though, a simple kind of example. This is, let's say you're an actuary and you work in an automobile insurance company, and you're trying to price insurance for an automobile, and you are going to sell 1,000 policies to a bunch of 18-year-old drivers, and you have data that suggests that 300 of them will have an accident next year, and that the average cost to repair the vehicle after such an accident will be $500. And this is a very oversimplified question that an actuary might face. How much premium should we charge each of the 18-year-olds for the next year's insurance? Okay, so think about that for a second, maybe 10 seconds. I'd like to give you longer, but we're a little constrained. So here's one simple approach to this. If there were going to be 300 accidents at $500 a piece, the insurance company is going to need $150,000 to pay out in claims. If they need $150,000 and they're selling insurance to 1,000 drivers, that's $150 per driver. So at a very minimum, they should charge $150 per person. Now, food for thought, we're not going to explore this question, is that what they would really charge? Probably not. Even if their assumptions were all good, there's reasons why. Primarily, insurance companies are not charities, so they would have to build in a profit. Furthermore, they need to take into account some uncertainties. You could you thought there were going to be 300 accidents, there could be more. So they would have a margin built in. All right, now we'll go to the next. So here, we're taking the same problem and say we did some research and we have some great information. Of those 1,000 drivers, we found out that 400 of them are males and 600 are females. And of those 300 accidents that we thought our 1,000 drivers would have, those split 200 to the males and only 100 to the females. So if you look on that little graphic on the right, for every group of 6 female drivers, one of them is going to have an accident, and every group of 4 male drivers, 2 of them are going to have an accident. And these are not, unfortunately, not far-fetched statistics. This is kind of how it really is with young drivers. But in any case, so now what would you do if you were trying to come up with a premium that you would charge the males and the females? Should it be the same premium? We'll give you your 10 seconds to think about it. You've probably already figured out it won't be the same premium. Here, the insurance company needs $100,000 to cover the male accidents and the $50,000 to cover the female. That $150,000 that they need is the same. But if you're going to collect the $100,000 from the 400 males, that's a $250 premium. If you're going to collect the $50,000 from the females, it's an $83 premium. And so in this simple example, the males would pay 3 times what the females would pay. So actuaries would look at that and try to make those distinctions and differentiations. It gets complicated because in some states, you're not allowed to charge different prices for males and females. So there's regulation layered on top of all this. All right. I'm ready to move, Sarah. Go ahead.
I think we're running low on time, so.
Okay. Well, I will talk quick. Sorry. So insurance companies are the big employers, but you can also work for the government, colleges, accounting firms. There's many places actuaries work. Onward. it's a great job. It's been rated very highly. It pays very well, especially sort of mid-career, 10 years of experience out there. Actuaries do pretty well. Onward. Generally speaking, actuaries have great job security. It can be a 9-to-5 kind of job that lets you go home at night and actually have a life. And you're doing something that makes a real impact. Depending on where you're working, you'll see and feel the impact that you're making. So, onward. Here is a map of where there are actuaries in the United States. And I couldn't help but laugh earlier when the West Virginia folks had a map of where they are. They're on this map too, but apparently actuaries have not found jobs there yet. But their actuaries tend to be concentrated in the insurance centers, New York, Illinois, the East Coast, lots of actuaries, and then the West Coast and Texas a bit too. So becoming an actuary, study. You know, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice. I was going to talk a little bit about the requirements to become an actuary, but I think I'll leave that for another day. There's a series of actuarial exams that you have to take. If you attend a school like WPI, our curriculum provides you all the background you need to become an associate member in the actuarial societies. So it's a lot of effort, a lot of work, a great career. Go ahead. In college, there's lots of things you could major in and become an actuary. Math, actuarial math, statistics, economics, business. Those are all great choices for actuaries because the career is kind of a cross-discipline of those things. But just my pitch again, if you want to be an actuary and you want to take actuarial courses in college, look for schools that would have a whole array of those classes. That might be a great fit for you. So, yeah, I think we should stop. I can look at my clock. I've talked too long.
Okay. Sarah and Leah and John, thanks so much for that. We are up against it. I think we've got about 5 minutes, and I'm afraid we may have lost Kristen. However, I do not see a list of questions unless she comes back. If any of our panelists have anything that they would like to add in this 5 minutes. There is one question. If anybody would like to jump in on what coding language should students be looking at studying? Suzanne, I saw your hand.
Sure. So first of all, learning to code in one language is great because then you can learn to code in a new language. And different universities use different languages for the introductory courses. At Augsburg, Python and then Java are probably the two most popular. There's a whole bunch of debates about if the snake, that's Python, beats the coffee, that's Java, or vice versa. But I think either one of those languages would give you a great head start. It's often the case that in high school, the language you'd have a choice to study is whatever that professor or teacher in high school happens to know, and that's okay too. We can always fill you in on the details of a new language if you've had a chance to study, but definitely start with Python.
Okay, and I do have another classes that students should take to prepare for a math degree. Anybody care to jump in? Leah?
Yeah, I would suggest just as many classes as you can. Different high schools are going to offer different things. And I know at least at WPI, we have courses that are going to get you to where you need to be to take those upper level courses. And I feel like a lot of schools are going to have those. I personally took calculus. I wasn't in the higher AP. I was in the lower one. So I wasn't even at like the top classes at my school. I took a statistics course, but definitely just try to take as much as you can if you know you're interested in math.
One of the things I always recommend is that you take a wide variety of courses inside and out of math that are going to challenge you, because learning to deal with challenging problems is probably the best preparation for a career in the mathematical sciences. So go ahead and take a course in environmental science if they offer it, or world politics, or anything that's going to challenge you to think creatively about complex problems. Many of our math majors have taken some calculus in high school. Some of our math majors have not. Some are done with the whole calculus sequence. Most colleges will meet you where you're at in that sequence and have sort of the next course for you to take.
That's great to hear. I wish I was younger. A lot younger.
Don't we all?
Kristen, we had one other question, I believe.
Yes, actually we have two more. Any recommended readings for high school students? What should they be diving into?
Well, I have a favorite book right now.
Yeah, what are you reading? That's a good way to answer it.
Publication, though, so I'm worried I'm going to get in trouble for mentioning it. It's called The Fascinating World of Graphs, and it's an accessible book. Probably, if you're competing in AMC, you're ready to read this book. And it introduces graph theory. I don't know if you had a chance to see Penlow's wonderful talk this afternoon about how we're using graph theory to do better contact tracing and other awareness around pandemics. But graph theory is nothing like y = x squared as a parabola, that kind of graphing. Graphs like networks, how different objects are connected to each other. And it's a fascinating part of math that you almost never get to see in high school. So Fascinating World of Graphs by Benjamin Chartrand and Zhang is up on my favorites. I'll put a link in the chat. And I don't get a commission, just so you know.
Anybody else have a good recommended reading? What are you reading? Any blogs or listening to any cool podcasts that the kids should check out?
I really like, if you're interested in data science, Towards Data Science is a blog style website, and it has a lot of cool articles about different problems and different ways to solve different data science things. And it's also a good resource if you're like stuck on something. You can always go there too.
Awesome.
All right. Go ahead, Marjorie.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, I've been looking into some movies about famous scientists and mathematicians that I'm going to be using in a course for the fall. And one that I just recently looked at again was The Man Who Knew Infinity, about Ramanujan. And that is a really interesting movie that talks about, a mathematician's mind and how somebody who really developed or saw all of this and then later figured out how to prove things and worked with others in collaboration, but what he gave to the field of mathematics.
Terrific. Okay, folks, it looks like we're hard up against our stop time. So I'd like to thank you all for coming, and especially I'd like to thank all of you wonderful presenters, as well as all our departmental members for helping us introduce so many students to the resources and valuable friendships awaiting them as members of the MAA. Please help us spread the word about tomorrow's session to anyone you meet at MathFest. Tomorrow we'll hear from Georgia State University, University of Texas at Austin, and Villanova University. One last thing is we are already talking about things that we will be doing to get the recorded version of this out to a much broader audience. So I'll be in touch with all of our presenters about that. So thank you so much, and have a great evening and a great MathFest.
Thank you all.